This is Tim Bryce with my 2013 year-end wrap-up. As you know, I write on a variety of subjects such as management, systems, technology, social issues, politics, and observation of our crazy, ever-changing world. Sometimes my work is instructional, informative, other times it's controversial or possibly humorous. I certainly hope it isn't boring. By the number of subscribers I have, their comments, and the hits I have on my website, I don't believe this is the case. For my year-end column, I decided to look at my statistics and see which were my most popular articles and speculate on their popularity. Herein, therefore, are my greatest hits for 2013. First, we had the Remington Rand adding machine, model 41013-10. This was written in December 2012 as a fun piece describing our ancient adding machine, marveling at its simplicity and questioning why people tend to discard office equipment as opposed to maintaining it, in our case for 42 years, and still chugging away. I was surprised by the thousands of people who read it. It caused several of my subscribers to reminisce about such equipment. Typical comments included, "Sure wish most items would last nearly as long," and "Yeah, they sure don't build things to last anymore." Next, we have 10 things the federal government does well. Written in June of last year, people from around the world read this article on a daily basis. Overseas, Europeans reference this piece regularly, particularly people in the United Kingdom. In an age where we tend to believe government is incompetent, my article piqued people's curiosity as to whether government can do anything right. I also received considerable reader feedback on this one, including a woman from West Virginia who wrote, quote, "It has come to the point that I no longer believe a word the government says. I don't trust the media either." End quote. Next, we have Stand Up for Morality. Beginning last April, I published an 8-part series encouraging people to think about and openly discuss morality in our society. This, of course, became my book, Stand Up for Morality. The comments from my readers were encouraging. The subject became a hot-button topic on the internet and caused me to produce a presentation on the subject. Next, we have What If the South Had Won the War? I originally wrote this column in December of 2011, but it is still actively read on a daily basis. The article considered what our world might look like today if General Lee had won at Gettysburg and captured Washington, D.C. This stirred the imagination of a lot of readers who commented accordingly. And next, we had an unusual one. It was Bryce's Laws mini posters. Earlier this year, I devised a series of mini posters based on our popular Bryce's Laws series, which are axioms on life, both personal and professional. 4 posters were made available, including life, management, information systems, and project management. These small posters can now be found in offices and cubicles around the world. Next, we had Today's Slave Mentality. This was another piece I wrote towards the end of last December. Like the others, it has been frequently read all year. Basically, it is a comparison of today's welfare state versus the early American slaves. Although it was considered controversial, I received a lot of positive comments from my readers. Next, we had Print on Demand. Very cool. This was a technology-related piece I wrote describing an interesting means to publish a book. Although it requires an author to be savvy in desktop publishing, it is a great way to free yourself of the yoke of publishers. Someone at Amazon should be thanking me for writing this. Next, we had liberal versus conservative personalities. This has been a favorite subject of mine for quite some time. It examines how people develop their political beliefs. Why does a person become a Democrat or a Republican? This generated considerable discussion from my readers. Bottom line, I think I was on to something in terms of people's personalities ultimately dictating their political preferences. Next, we have Who is Teaching Morality? This article described the various factions who are truly teaching moral values in this country. Regrettably, it is not the parents. Then we had The Death of Professional Courtesy. Now, this was a column touched off by an incident I experienced at a company whereby I observed how people treated others very callously. This, too, resulted in considerable feedback from my readers who experienced similar situations. Regrettably, I am seeing more and more of this in the corporate world. And finally, we have American Moral Dilemmas. This article was a precursor to my series on morality. Basically, it contrasted the moral values of capitalism versus socialism. In terms of my columns, 2013 will probably be best remembered as my morality year, where I openly question the values of our culture, particularly how they are formed and taught. I consider the erosion of our morality in this country a serious problem, something that may very well lead to our demise. Maybe I'm an alarmist, or maybe I'm seeing something people are glossing over. I have always believed in the Bryce's Law, which says you cannot treat a patient if he doesn't know he is sick. Since I started researching this subject, I found morality is something most people take for granted and never discuss. This is why I found it important to bring this to the attention of my readers. I just hope people were listening. I want to thank all of my readers who commented on my columns this year, not just in print, but on the radio as well. Although I may not have time to respond to everyone, rest assured I read all of your comments, both good and bad. Thank you. It's nice to know people are listening. Happy New Year! Friends, keep the faith. This is Tim Bryce in Palm Harbor, Florida. Follow me on the internet at timbryce.com.